Welcome everyone. My name is Michelle Moscus and I'm the Marketing Director for Texas Tech's College of Outreach and Distance Education. Today though I'll be acting as your webinar moderator, which means I'll be handling any technical difficulties and answering any questions during the webinar. There's several housekeeping things I'd like to go over. First, if you experience sound problems during the webinar, we recommend that you listen to the webinar over the phone by choosing the Use Telephone option in your toolbar. If you have a bad phone connection at any time during the webinar, we recommend that you hang up and call back. If you have questions during the webinar, please enter them into the question field at the bottom of your control panel. There will also be a 5 to 10 minute Q&A session at the end of the presentation. The webinar will be recorded today and you should receive a link to that recording in the next week. Okay, that's all I think I have for housekeeping. We're excited to present another JMH sponsored webinar designed to help you increase your revenue. It's good to see some familiar names today. Many of you have attended at least one of JMH's webinars. For those of you who we haven't met, let me quickly give you a brief introduction to JMH. JMH Consulting is a strategic partner for adult, continuing, and executive education departments. They provide expertise in areas such as programs, program launch management, and curriculum design, marketing and strategy, and as you might see today, they emphasize data-driven decisions and a planning process that can help you achieve direct results and repeatable results. In fact, today you'll learn some tips for how to optimize direct mail and catalogs. And here today to tell us about optimizing direct mail and catalogs is Jacob Ensign, Business Analyst and Project Manager at JMH. So without further delay, I'm happy to introduce Jacob Ensign.
Michelle, thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it, and the introduction to JMH as well. As Michelle mentioned, I studied mathematics, and I would like to reassure everybody before we begin that although this word optimization is a mathematical term, and I'll discuss it in a moment, I'm not going to shower anybody with too many formulas, and hopefully the ones that I do share with you are simple enough. So nobody be terrified of my math background. But my role at JMH, for the most part, I like to think about in this way. I'm all about process, and JMH in general is about process as well, but I used to do analysis projects for JMH and for JMH clients the hard way. I would sit down and put some elbow grease on and bust it out. One day I got really tired of this and I decided there had to be a better way. And what I'm going to talk about today is the what I call the smart mailing list, which is one of those products. It's a process. I'd like to emphasize it's a process. It's not necessarily a list, but this process can benefit your catalogs and your direct mail for any of your programs. Throughout the presentation, I'll probably refer to them as catalog, but I'd just like to, before we begin, let you guys know that this works for any kind of direct mail, and that was kind of the idea with it. If anybody attended my webinar a couple months ago, there's going to be some overlap between this one and that one, but I'm going to go into more detail about the smart mailing list and in some other areas as well. But some information should be somewhat familiar, so I hope everybody gets something great out of today. And let's get started. So writing this webinar, I had to think, what is today about? And I looked at the title and I thought, optimization. Now that's a fun word to talk about. Optimization is a word that comes from calculus, and optimization problems usually take two forms. You can either maximize things, which means getting the most out of it. So for example, what's the most number of enrollments we can generate from this particular marketing effort? Or they come in the form of minimization problems, which is something like how can we do the least amount of work? That's one of my favorite types of optimization problems, as I'm sure it is with everybody else as well. But the best types of, well, an example of that in marketing would be what's the smallest budget that we need for marketing in order to reach our revenue goals. The best optimization problems are the ones that kind of combine both. And what this process I'm gonna lay out for you guys does is exactly that. It says how can we spend the least amount of money on this effort and really get the most from it. The idea is really trimming off the fat and taking those catalogs and those brochures that are just dragging around some extra weight and really getting them in shape. Of course, before we can really solve an optimization problem, or we need to really know where we are in terms of efficiency. And what that means is, as the slide suggests, that we need to at least be aware of the numbers that are around us. So data-driven decisions are really important. And the main driver for this approach is going to be the ROI, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, but I'm going to discuss a little bit more about what's really cool about ROI and how it works in a little bit. At JMH, our approach is always, as Michelle mentioned, a data approach. We pride ourselves on having a data-driven culture. And we also focus on processes and process improvement. And one of the things I pride myself on is having built processes that are self-improving, like the one we're going to talk about today, that as you go through this process, it gets better and better every single time. The more information you have, the smarter the decisions you can make. And remember, again, I just want to let you guys know, keep in mind that the SMART mailing list, as I'm calling it, is not really a list. It's a process. It's not a list of addresses. It's a list of addresses. The list of addresses is what comes out of the process. So just keep that in mind as we go through. So the agenda for today, just kind of 4 sections, main sections for the webinar. First, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the problem. My goal in this section is going to be to stress everybody out, get you guys pulling your hair out, and then I'm going to give you some reassurance, make you guys all feel good about what we're doing here. Next, I'm going to talk about metrics and data-driven decisions, because I think it's important to talk about. Good metrics are not only the cornerstone of this process, but they're the cornerstone of any good process. And metrics and a culture of data collection and application is the cornerstone and the foundation for any successful business or any successful business-like activity. So it's incredibly important for us to focus on. And just to get to know a little bit more about you guys, I'd actually like to launch the first poll right away. So if you guys wouldn't mind answering this question for me. The question here is how data savvy is your institution, and specifically your marketing department? So there's a couple of options there. I think you can select as many as actually apply to your organization. So please select as many as describe you. And just for clarification, while you guys are going ahead and working on that, we're getting some work done here. A decision support system would be something that automatically analyzes numbers and gives you ideas about yay or nay types of decisions. The dashboard would be something that just kind of measures the health. That's kind of like a cholesterol reading, or the speed on a treadmill or something. Weekly reports, I'm sure you guys are familiar with. That's either printed or it pumps out of some kind of system. And the last 2, I think, are pretty self-explanatory. So we're just a little over halfway done. Just waiting on a couple more people to go ahead and vote. Just maybe one more. All right, we'll go ahead and close that poll. I'll go ahead and share these results with you guys. So it looks like you guys, so some of you guys have a lot to be proud of. Of course, there's going to be some overlap here, but the result is about 1/3 of you guys have at least one decision support system, and you should be very, very proud of your institution for having that, because that's a rarity in the business world. And as most of us know, in continuing education, continuing education generally falls behind most industries in terms of the cutting edge. So you guys should be very proud of your organizations. Those of you that have dashboards as well, the same thing goes for dashboards. I like to think of the dashboard as being the pre-decision support system, an automated way to look at numbers. And the rest of you guys are it looks like everybody's kind of, familiar with what's really common in our industry, and I really feel bad for everybody who had to vote for the last one, but unfortunately that's the situation in a lot of places. And hopefully something from today will actually give you guys some good information that you can at least cross your fingers slightly more confidently next time after you implement this process. So I'll go ahead and hide those, and we'll get right back to the presentation.